What happens when a respected senator sits down for what should be a friendly chat, but instead walks into an ambush that destroys a talk show host's reputation forever? It only took 31 seconds of pure arrogance from Stephen Colbert to turn John Kennedy from a guest into a defender of integrity. And what followed was the most shocking meltdown in late-night television history. The studio lights were blazing hot that evening as John Kennedy walked onto the set of The Late Show. The audience was buzzing with excitement. They admired John. He was one of those rare politicians known for his plain-spoken charm, a Louisiana native who carried himself with the kind of genuine humility that made people trust him. Tonight he was supposed to discuss issues facing the nation, share some laughs, and give the viewers a glimpse into his work as a senator. But Stephen Colbert had other plans. From the moment John sat down in the guest chair, something felt wrong. The usual warm welcome was missing. Instead, Colbert leaned back with a smug little smile, the kind that hinted he was up to something. The audience sensed it too. The energy in the room shifted. "John Kennedy!" "Everybody," Colbert said, but his voice carried a sharp edge. "The senator from Louisiana, the guy who's made a name for himself with all that Southern wisdom. Let's see where this goes." John smiled politely, assuming this was just Colbert's typical banter. "Thanks for having me, Stephen. It's good to be here." "Is it really, Colbert?" shot back his tone, biting. "Because I've been doing some digging, John. Some very interesting digging." John's smile wavered just slightly. This wasn't how interviews usually started. Where were the light-hearted jabs about Louisiana culture, or the friendly questions about his work in the Senate instead? Colbert was staring at him like a lawyer ready to pounce. "I'm not sure what you're getting at," John said calmly, his southern drawl steady. Colbert reached for a stack of papers on his desk, making a show of flipping through them, letting the silence hang heavy. The audience grew restless. This wasn't the fun, easygoing show they'd come to see. "Here's what I find fascinating about you, John," Colbert said, still focused on his papers. "You've built this whole persona as the folksy senator, the guy who talks like he's straight out of a Louisiana diner full of homespun sayings. But is that really you?" John shifted in his seat, his expression composed, but his eyes sharp. "I'd say my work speaks for itself, Stephen." "Does it, though?" Colbert looked up, his gaze cold. "Because to me, it looks like you're playing a character, someone who's leaned so hard into this man-of-the-people act that maybe you've lost sight of who you really are." The audience fell silent. This wasn't comedy. This wasn't entertainment. This was an attack, and everyone could feel it. John took a slow breath. He'd been in tough situations before politics wasn't exactly a gentle profession. "Stay calm, stay sharp. Don't take the bait. You know, Stephen, I think there's a misunderstanding here. I came on your show to talk about the issues that matter to folks back home, maybe share a story or two. I didn't know this was going to be a cross-examination." Colbert let out a laugh, but it was sharp, almost mocking. "Cross-examination. John, I'm just asking questions. That's what journalists do. Or are you saying you can't handle tough questions?" "You can ask tough questions," John replied, his voice steady but with a hint of steel. "But there's a difference between journalism and whatever this is." "Whatever this is," Colbert echoed, his tone rising. "This, John, is me refusing to toss softballs at another politician who thinks he's untouchable." John's eyes narrowed slightly. "Untouchable? Stephen, what exactly are you trying to hold me accountable for?" Colbert flipped through his papers again, clearly relishing the drama. "Let's start with your whole shtick. All those times you've used your Southern charm, those clever little analogies about politics, being like trying to nail Jell-O to a wall. You sell yourself as this authentic voice of the people different from the Washington crowd. I am different, John said simply, his tone firm but not defensive. Are you? Because from where I'm sitting, it looks like you've gotten pretty cozy with the Washington game while pretending to be an outsider. The audience began to murmur, some shifting uncomfortably in their seats. They hadn't come to see their senator grilled like this. They wanted the John Kennedy they knew, thoughtful, witty, relatable, not this ambush. John leaned forward slightly, his voice calm but direct. Stephen, I've never claimed to be anything other than a guy trying to do right by the people who sent me to Washington. If you've got a point to make, why don't you just come out and say it? Colbert's smile grew, but it wasn't friendly. The point, John, is that authenticity matters, and I'm wondering if yours is just a carefully crafted act. That's when John's composure showed a flicker of resolve. His voice remained even, but his eyes carried a spark. You want to talk about acting, Stephen?